अ, बीच में कोई आएगा नहीं, उसको बंद कर देना। So hi, very good morning to all of you and very warm welcome to all of you. So this is going to be the very first class of ancient and medieval history. So since it is open class and then good many of you are attending today just to see that you are well versed or you will be able to grasp or not. So I hope this class would be very helpful to you. And today's class agenda is all about the overview of the timeline of the ancient and medieval history. So before beginning with what is the agenda of the class, I would just like to give you a little bit of introduction of myself, though I have already given it in the open session, but still there are many of you who are joining for the first time. So my name is Neeraj Rao and I have been teaching in UPSC industry from last 15 years, and that it's the core teaching 15 years. Apart from it, there are many other streams where I have worked 15 years back, right? Then apart from it, I have taught in majority of the offline centers in India, and Delhi has been the hub of the activity, and I have been associated with some of the big names. And moreover, apart from it, every year in top 10 you might see some of my students were there in the top 10, including this year rank 2 and rank 3. And apart from it, in previous years also rank 5, rank 7, even including rank 1. So I had privilege of teaching them. Then moving further, my core expertise in this field is history and also art and culture, which is a intrinsic part of the history. Then a little bit more about myself, since it is our first acquaintance and then first interaction in a classroom setup. So I have authored 2 books with the biggest publication house of the US, that is John Wiley Publication, and one book is a GS compendium, and the other book which is a journey through Indian art and culture. So wherever you are going to start your preparation of art and culture, you can have a look at the book. It is all up to you. Apart from it, I'm already on the project of finishing the work on modern Indian history with the same publication house, and so as the ancient and medieval history. So these are the upcoming projects. Apart from it, a little bit more introduction, which I haven't given in the very first class, or no, it was not first class, the open session, is basically that I also run a channel related to the culture of India, which can be useful in UPSC also, apart from UPSC also, Culture Quantum. So Culture Quantum, this year it was recognized by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and Wave Summit, which happened in May 2025. It was the first summit in India, attended by 75 nation delegates, and then also inaugurated by our Prime Minister Modi ji. So in that Wave Summit, there was a challenge on the Indian culture in which I was participating, and then I was invited by the government to Mumbai, and in the 8 lakh entries which were there in that particular competition section, mine one stood all India second, and I was honored by Amir Khan. So in culture, I have developed some sort of expertise, and then I love this area of the ancient, medieval, modern Indian history, and so is that I am a cultural enthusiast, and I want to become a voice of the Indian culture. So bit more about myself then. Now I'm going ahead with the agenda of the today's class. So first of all, that many a times we encounter as a student, as an aspirant, we always feel that modern Indian history, ancient and medieval history. These are sections which are like fact mugging all the time, all the while you have to remember the facts. And some of us who are not from the humanities background, or you haven't studied history in your grads and then also in your schools, so then you feel like that history would be boring, and the history is always like the dates you have to remember, you have to cram the dates. Actually, these are the myths which has to be busted. And mark my words that if history is taught in a better manner, then in a manner where it is interesting, you will find it that history is more interesting. It is, you are able to grasp it more, and you will be able to do well in history. But depends on that from where you are learning and from whom you are learning. So that all depends on the skill of the presenter, skill of the mentor, skill of the teacher, and also if at all they are able to invigorate a little bit of interest of history in you, so then it is going to be not a roller coaster ride, but it will be going to be a gliding ride. Then now since the first class is there, so everybody has their own way of teaching, own methodology. But though online is a great device, but I believe that one must be well versed with the online things. But my way of teaching is a bit traditional. And what do I mean by traditional? That I don't depend on PPTs, and usually there are people who do with the PPTs. So my way of teaching is a bit simple, that the way I am interacting with you, same way the classes will go on, and then everything will come out of my mind, not from something which is kept on front of me. And then after I'll tell you the stories, I'll tell you the events, I'll tell you that everything which has happened as far as the course is concerned, so related to the course. So we will be interacting, and then after I'll give you fair enough dictated notes also. So I believe in writing part, because at the end of the day you all are UPSC aspirants, and so as some of you, obviously you will be giving state PCS examinations also. So at the end of the day you have to write in the examination. You are not going to write on a digital device in the examination. In examination you will be writing on pen, on paper with your pen. So basically writing is very important part. And then another thing is basically that when you are listening, there is a one way of grasping the things or keeping in your memory. But then another part is that when you are writing, so there are many types of the memory: picture memory, writing memory, and listening memory. So audio memory, already that what you are listening, something is going in your mind. Then when you are just suppose that if I'm writing something, so there is a visual memory also, and apart from it there is a writing memory also. So writing memory is also, I would say, it is one of the strongest. So when you write your own notes with your own pen, in your own copy, in your own handwriting, it is going to be more effective. And I hope you must have realized, or you must have seen, witnessed, whenever your exams, your grads exams, graduation exams, or your matriculation or high school exams were there, so you are reading from your notes, you are able to grasp it better rather than reading somebody else's notes. And because it's been made in your own handwriting, so that is more gullible for your memory rather than any other thing. So after this whole talk, let me once again clear that what is the agenda of the today's class. I'm third time I'm repeating this thing. Agenda of the today's class is the complete overview of the timeline of ancient and medieval history. And then in today's class itself, we will be discussing the aspects related to that reference material. So what reference material you might be using during your preparation, and discussion is also related to the new NCERTs. So in class 6, 7, 8, new NCERTs have been introduced, and what is there in the history section of the new NCERTs. So I have brought those 3 new NCERTs so that we can have some sort of discussion on it. Apart from it, other sources also, I'll tell you that from where you can refer. And moreover, then if the time is spared, a little bit more time would be there. So we will start with the sources to study history. So today's class, I would say it would be much of a generic nature, whereby I'm just going to tell you the entire ancient and medieval in one go. Done. And then apart from it, I'll be writing the timeline. So I expect you that you must be writing the timeline when I am writing it on the board. Then, so now let's start with few things, few questions. So when we talk about the history, so in history, generally that historians and then archaeologists and then all the scholars, they have divided history into three portions. Then, so there are three parts of the history. Just let me write on the board that what are the three parts of the history. So these three parts are, one is called as prehistory, right? Then is proto-history, and third would be the history. So prehistory, proto-history and history, and your comments are accessible to me, so you can write about whatever your questions are there. So I'll try to address whenever I feel like that it's time to address. So now moving to this part, prehistory, proto-history and history, what is it? So this part, prehistory, is basically that portion of our historical study where human beings haven't developed any writing system. So in this part of the history, no writing system developed, and in nutshell what I will say, that no written record. So no written record. So in this part, that what is prehistory? That prehistory is the part of the history where no written record is there. It also means that writing system didn't develop in this period, and that's why there is no written record. But from how what all sources we reconstruct the prehistory, so we reconstruct meaning कि हम कैसे जानते हैं, how do we know that what happened in this period. So this we get to know from the artifacts which were used by the pre-humans, and moreover also not just the artifacts but many artistic things like paintings and also the stone tools which were used by them. So generally in this period, what would be there? Stone Age of India or Stone Age of the world would be there. Then comes proto-history. So what is proto-history? Proto-history is that part of the history where writing system developed. In this period, proto-history part, writing system developed, but problem is that though the written records are there from this part of the history, but problem is that it hasn't been deciphered. What does it mean? That कोई भी आज तक इसको पढ़ नहीं पाया है. So there are the scripts from this period, but nobody has been able to understand and completely decipher that what has been written. So what we can write in here, that written record is there, but problem is written record but not deciphered. But not deciphered. Fine. When it comes to example of the proto-history in the Indian section is Indus Valley civilization. So in Indus Valley civilization, written record and scripts are there, but it hasn't been deciphered till this date. So that's about the proto-history. And what is history? So history is basically that it is basically written records are there, and moreover these written records are well deciphered, कि अच्छी तरह से समझा हुआ है, ठीक है. So well deciphered, it has been well decoded. So that's about the history, and generally that major portion in the syllabus of any exam when we are studying, so that is history only, and where the written records in many forms. The forms would be epigraphical, inscription, literary sources. So all the sources are well deciphered. So these are the three sections of the history. So now I hope you got something and you understood something related to these three parts of the history. Let's move on to the timeline part then. So एक दिक्कत होती है सबको, ठीक है. I hope little bit of Hindi is fine, ठीक है. If anybody is having any kind of problem so with Hindi, so you let me know. I will just translate that in English then. And apart from it, it's in my subconscious mind, I'm already doing it, that if somewhere I'm using a little bit of Hindi, so I'll translate it. So don't worry about it. So now, so timeline is something. Timeline is something which must be crammed in history portion, be it the ancient history, medieval history, or the modern history. So if you're not cramming the timeline, if you're not well versed with the timeline, so history seems a little difficult to all of us, to you also. It will seem difficult. But when I say that that timeline must be crammed, it must be remembered by you, I don't mean to say that exact date yaad rakhna hai. And so exact date, see what I mean to say, that you must know the sequence of the dynasties and sequence of the periods. So if I have to translate it in Hindi, I hope this word must be very known to you. Hindi में बोलते हैं ना, मोटा मोटे तौर पे याद रखना. So this is what I'm saying, that you have to remember the timeline in the sequential manner, that what followed what then. And understand that if anybody is able to remember a hell lot of facts, then so that's because of the revision n number of the time, and revisiting that particular article, that particular fact time and again, time and again. So that's how you tend to remember the things. So nobody is a superhuman. You are also not a superhuman. I am also not a superhuman. Nobody is a superhuman that एक बार पढ़ा और याद हो गया. It doesn't happen in this way. So don't pressurize your mind to remember the fact from the very first go, but in fact, read it with some sort of awareness and revise it again and again, and slowly it will start pertaining in your mind. Right? So moving ahead with it. So timeline is something जो simplified भी होना चाहिए. It must be very simplified, because if the timeline is told to you in a complicated manner, so that also becomes difficult then. So I would try to simplify as much as I can do then, and then this would be your eye and ear in the ancient and medieval section. So whenever you are in any sort of confusion that ki kahan padh rahe ho, that which part you are studying, so then you must refer back to the timeline that you are going to write right now. Then, so let's start with it. So as I have mentioned to you that these three periods, prehistory, proto-history and history. So isi ke according, that according to this particular three themes, I would go into the timeline part then. And in timeline, so today's class is, I'm not going to dictate anything. I'll be keeping it little slow so that you are able to write, and I'm going to tell you small short stories of all the periods, so that you get acquainted with the entire ancient and medieval history and the themes of ancient and medieval history in today's class itself. Then, so let's start there, that with the prehistory part. So give me a minute. So I hope this was all fine. I'll move to the next slide. Fine. So in prehistory part, let me write. So we are starting with the timeline. And another thing I would address in today's class itself, let's write first, and then after I'll address one query which I often encounter in many of the classes and all over India. I have seen this, that the difference between the BC and AD, and so as the CE and BCE. So if you also have same sort of question, you can put in the comment section. I would just look into it, and accordingly I'll address that what is BC and AD, and then what is CE and BCE. So if you also have some sort of, once again I'm repeating, some sort of question related to it, put it in the comment section. So moving ahead. So prehistory, as I said to you, that in this period, no written records were there done. And as far as the human history reconstruction is concerned, so that reconstruction purely happens on the basis of the artifacts which were used by them, and then other activities whose evidences are there. So for example, that one of the very initial artifact used by the pre-humans is basically stone tools. Then so on the basis of the advancement of the stone tool, we classify this period. Then apart from it, there are many artifacts which are used by them, like they are using not only the stone tools, uske alawa, apart from it, they are using fish bone, they are using some sort of metal, they are using pottery. So these all things will also come into the reconstruction of the prehistory. Then paintings are also one of the very important source of the reconstruction of the prehistory. So basically, prehistory in case of India, we will call it Stone Age. Then, so Stone Age of India, and though Stone Age for the world also we can mention, but since we are reading the Indian history, so we are limiting our discussion to the India itself. Now, so Stone Age of India, in the history, that in the language of the history, it is called as Paleo or Lithic ages. Okay, so it is called as Lithic ages. And Lithic ages mein, the very first would be Paleolithic age. So Paleolithic age, what does it mean? That Paleolithic age means that the oldest stone age of India. So oldest stone age of India, there has been debate related to or difference of the dates in many of the books in the past NCRTs or old NCRTs. The timeline has been extended too much then, but now more precise information is being available in today's time. So according to the new NCRTs and according to the text of the last 20 years, so Paleolithic age of India, it existed between, so I'll try to use two different colors so that it will be visible. Just give me a minute. Fine. And with this, okay. Just give me a minute. I'm just checking with that these all pens which are there. No. Fine. So Paleolithic age, it is from 2.5 lakh BC to 10,000 BC. So 2.5 lakh it existed आज से, ठीक है, from today's time 2.5 lakh years back to 10,000 BC. So this is the part of it. Then apart from it, another thing. So this screen, I'm just learning also that how to drag the things, okay? So fine. So 2.5 lakh BC to 10,000 BC. Now the Paleolithic age has also been divided into 3 sub-periods. So these 3 sub-periods are, and keep on writing this section. So when I'm moving to the next slide, I hope you have written everything which I'm writing on the board. So Paleolithic age has been subdivided into 3 periods, and these 3 periods are called as Lower Paleolithic age, Lower Paleolithic age, Middle Paleolithic age, Middle Paleolithic age, and the last one is the Upper Paleolithic age. So I hope my handwriting is also visible to you and it is clear to you. So upper Paleolithic age. So lower Paleolithic age, middle Paleolithic age and upper Paleolithic age. So these are the three subdivisions of the first Stone Age of India. And moreover, if at all the timeline of this is concerned, so in this part, that the very first one, lower Paleolithic, we can say that 2.5 lakh. So lakh, I am denoting it with L, and to 50,000 BC. So K is standing for 1000 and BC. So this period goes from 2.5 lakh BC to 50,000 BC. Then middle Paleolithic age, it goes from 50,000 to 40,000 BC. 40K BC. K is standing for 1000. Then the last one, upper Paleolithic age, it is the last of the oldest Stone Age of India, and it was from 40,000 to 10,000 BC. So 40,000 to 10,000 BC. So this is the timeline of the first Paleolithic age. Then now, since I have written a little bit about the Stone Age, so in this age, majorly what we'll be studying in our classes is about the different type of the stone tools which were used by the early humans. And there is a change in the technology of the stone tools also, that how these tools were operated, what was the size, what was the shape, and then which all places they were found. So I know that this seems to be little boring at this time. But then, since it is the oldest Paleolithic or Stone Age of India, so we will move from the stone to the movement activity very soon. Right? Now, moving ahead with it then, so I hope all of you have already written it. Let's move into the next part then. So I'm just going ahead with the next slide. Then comes in the Paleolithic, that Stone Age part itself, the second period is called as Mesolithic age. Mesolithic age. Then, and Mesolithic age, so this one is from 10,000 BC to 6,000 BC. So 10,000 BC to 6,000 BC. Now, why it is called as a Mesolithic? Meso means that in the middle, and then after the Paleolithic, this is the second age, but there is no subdivision in this age. Apart from it, this age was a transition age. Mesolithic age was a transition age. So when I say transition, so a question arises in our mind that from what to what. So this transition is from the ice ages of the planet Earth to the warm phase, meaning that from 10,000 BC onwards, the planet Earth started to become little warm. Then, and as we know that life thrives in the warm environment. So this period is more conducive for the development of the human beings, for the development of the living beings, for the development of the many biological phenomena then, and also the dispersion of the human beings. What is dispersion? Meaning that human beings, wherever the human species started to develop, so they are moving in the different direction into the different places. So Mesolithic age was the age of much more activity as concerned as far as that as compared to the Paleolithic age. Then after Mesolithic age, the next age is the Neolithic age. So Neolithic age, so this one, that this is the middle Stone Age, and then this is the this one is the New Stone Age, or to our history it is the closest Stone Age. So this one existed in between 6,000 BC to 3,000 BC on a rough note. Okay, so approximately in between 6,000 BC to 3,000 BC. So what is the advancement from this age to this age? So whatever be the stone tool of this time, nowadays the stone tool in the Neolithic age was much polished. There is development of the agricultural communities. There are many such inventions by the human beings, like wheel is created, pottery is created, and moreover this is the age from where not in the Indian history, but in the world history context, human beings became aware about the use of the copper, and they also became aware about the smelting of the copper, but not in India. So this information which I am telling you, it is from the Syria. So first time in the world, it was the Syria where copper usage started. Now going ahead further. So these are the ages related to the prehistory, or basically these are the three parts of the prehistory then, or Stone Age. Now we are moving ahead from this Stone Age part to the proto history part. So in the beginning of the class, I hope you're remembering, I created the three parts of the history, that is prehistory, proto history and history. So moving to the second part, that is proto history. So I hope all of you have already written it. Then the next is proto history. Proto history. So now, what is proto history? Already I have mentioned to you that it is the part of the history in which written records are already there, but problem is that this written record hasn't been deciphered. So when we talk about the different civilizations in the world, so there are a number of the civilizations where written records are there, and moreover they haven't been deciphered. But there are the civilizations in the world where written records are there and they have not been deciphered. So one very important one is from India, that is Indus Valley civilization. So in the context of our subcontinent, our history, it is Indus Valley civilization. So Indus Valley civilization, let me write first. So Indus Valley civilization, when we talk about the timeline of the Indus Valley civilization, so there are the two phases of the Indus Valley, and I hope you know that Indus Valley is also called as Harappan civilization. So there are two names of it, that one we call on the basis of the Indus River, Indus Valley civilization, and it is also called as Harappan civilization because the first site of Indus Valley to be discovered was Harappa then. So it is also called as Harappan civilization. Now, so there are two phases of it in the timeline of it. So one is called as pre-Harappan phase. Pre-Harappan phase, and this pre-Harappan phase, it precisely existed between 3000 BC to 2600 BC. So keep on writing side by that simultaneously. What is pottery? बताऊंगा बच्चा, ठीक है? Just wait for it. So just put your questions in comment section, and I'll let you know that what is pottery. Pottery, so I can just tell you that for a minute. Pottery is like ghada, ठीक है? It's that I hope ghada, you know that it's made from the clay, the shape. So I hope you're able to figure it out. This is the pottery. So how it is created, that also I'll teach you. That it's made from the clay on the wheel. I hope you know that lump of clay is kept on a wheel. Then you put your feet into it. You just try to turn the wheel. Then when you are turning the wheel, you are putting your feet into it. So you create a pottery, and then after you bake it on fire. So that's how the pottery is created. So this is one of the source of studying history. So let's move on with it. Rest of the parts I'll let you know. So this is the pre-Harappan phase. Then mature Harappan phase, which is the original civilizational phase. So mature Indus phase. And mature Indus phase would be from 2600 BC to 1900 BC. So 2600 BC to 1900 BC. Now, can you tell me, you just answer this question, that when we are talking about this part, so in which part of India or Indian subcontinent Indus Valley civilization was functional? was it functional in the entire Indian subcontinent, or was it functional just in some parts of India, basically some parts of Indian subcontinent? So if you have idea, you can just put in the as an answer in the comment box. So why I ask this question, because in the proto-history part, apart from the Indus Valley civilization, there is one more thing that has to be written then, and I'm just moving with that then. So dragging of this, fine. Wait for a minute. Okay. So I hope you have already written. Now the next phase in the proto-history of India itself, Chalcolithic period. So ये second वाले part में ही, only in the second part. Very good. Many of you have written Northwest India or present day Pakistan and northwestern parts. So Piyush, we would say that, and Mona also has answered this question. So Pakistan to hai hi, but then so as the parts of India also. And actually when Indus Valley civilization was discovered in 1920s, then so in those days that majority of the sites were found in today's Pakistan, but in fact we look at the sites which have been excavated related to Indus Valley civilization in today's time, so near about 55% sites are in India, and which all states, Jammu and Kashmir, so as in Punjab, a great number of the sites are there in Punjab, so as in Haryana, and in western UP, Rajasthan, entire Gujarat, and even some parts of Maharashtra. So 55% of the sites are in India, in these all parts which I have mentioned, and then rest of the parts are there in the Punjab province of the Pakistan, and so as the Sindh province of the Pakistan. So both the places, both the countries, I would say that these sites are there. So now why I ask this question, there is a purpose of it. So since already you guys told me that that where the Indus Valley civilization was functional, so it means that the rest of the parts of India, like Western UP के अलावा, that there is a Eastern UP, then so has Madhya Pradesh, so as parts of Maharashtra, then so as entire Eastern India, and so as entire Southern India. So when Indus Valley civilization was not functional in these parts of India, तो कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा, there must be something in the other parts of India. So when on one hand Indus Valley civilization is functional, on the other hand Chalcolithic cultures were prevalent in the rest of the parts of India, and these Chalcolithic cultures were prevalent in between 2300 BC to 1300 BC. And so 2300 BC onward till 1300, Chalcolithic cultures were very prominent in other parts of India other than the Indus Valley civilization area. So why we call it Chalcolithic? Isme, what is the meaning of it? So basically this word Chalcolithic is derived from the two syllables. One is chalco and another is lithic. Chalco over here refers to copper and lithic refers to stone. So basically this is the phase, or this is the culture in which people were using stone tools and copper together in different parts of India. But remember, this is also the part of the proto history in Indian situation, because in this part, ठीक है, also there is no written record. So जो भी है, whatever evidences we do have, that is from the artifacts. And then what is artifacts? The different materials which were used by them. So moving ahead, so now this is the part of the proto history. Now finally we are coming into the history part in the Indian scenario. Then so history section in the Indian scenario, and I hope already you have written, so I'm moving to the next slide. So now we are starting with history. Then, so now what is history? Once again, that well written records are there and they are well deciphered. So till 1900, what we mentioned, that Indus Valley civilization was there. A little bit discussion about the Indus Valley. So Indus Valley civilization was the first civilization of India, and moreover that first we can say that the most important civilization, and which existed between 2600 to 1900 BC. So in the Indus Valley civilization, we will be studying in our classes their polity, their society, their economic system, their religious system, and so as we will also discuss the parts related to their town planning, because once you read the town planning, it becomes little easier for you to understand the developments of the Indus Valley civilization. So Indus Valley civilization came to a complete end by 1900. So in the classes, we will also be studying about that what were the causes related to the decline of the Indus Valley civilization, what are the theories which are proposed related to it. So there are a number of the theories which were proposed. We will be having a discussion on it. But then after the end of the Indus Valley civilization, what is functional in India is the Chalcolithic cultures, which is going on till 1300. But there is a major development in the Indian history by the century, 15th century BC. And in the 15th century BC, arrival of the Aryans, so who were Aryans? Basically, Aryans were the different nomadic tribes from the Central Asia. So I hope you know that which all countries comes under Central Asia in today's time. So these countries are like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakh, Kyrgyzstan, okay? So Turkmenistan. So these are the nations which come under Central Asia. Gone are the days before 1990s. These nations were called as these were the part of the Russia. They were the part of the USSR. And then after the breakup of the USSR, they became Central Asian nations. Then in the words of geography, these areas are also called as steppes grassland of Asia. So moving ahead with it, so Aryans were the different tribes from the Central Asia. They were nomadic. Nomadic ka matlab hota hai that they are always on the move, then they are moving, and their greatest wealth was the cattle. So cows, buffaloes, then so these were their greatest wealth, and they were always in the search of the good pasture land. So good pasture land, what is pasture land? That grassland, you can say, a good grassland, and where in this good grassland they can feed their cattle. So that's how they were on the move, and they came to India by 1500 BC. So this event is called as Advent of Aryans in India. And these Aryans who are coming from the Central Asia, they were equipped with a better tool. They were equipped with the better bronze tools. Then so bronze is made from copper and tin, and it is a kind of a harder material once both the metals are mixed and weapons are created. So weapons are a bit effective. Another very important attribute of the Aryans that they came with the horses, and these horses have provided swiftness, basically more dynamism in their activity. So they arrived in the northwestern part of India, and slowly what they have done, that they have defeated the indigenous rulers or the native Indian rulers or native dynasties of India, and slowly they established their rule in northwestern India. So northwestern India will include the Punjab from both the parts, Indian part, Pakistan part, then so as Himachal, parts of Himachal, Haryana, Punjab, eastern UP, and so as Rajasthan. So initially they settled in these areas, and later on after 1000 BC they are moving to the different parts of India. So this is a new beginning in the history of India. So let's write that so in a sequential manner I'm writing over here. So advent of Aryans, and advent of Aryans. So advent of Aryans happened in 1500 BC, meaning their arrival. Now, after the arrival of the Aryans, what started in India is basically called as Vedic period in India. So why it is called as Vedic period? Because after the arrival, when the Aryans have established their rule in northwestern part of India, one of their major activity was composition of the literature, meaning they started to compose a new literature, and that literature was the Vedas. Right? So composition of Vedas have happened in this period, and because of composition of Vedas, this period is called as Vedic period. Then so composition of Veda leads to this period getting called as Vedic age. So Vedic age. The very first Ved to be composed was Rig Ved. in the initial phase, and then after 3 more Vedas were composed, that is, I hope you know, Sam Ved, Atharva Ved and Yajur Ved. So now this Vedic age in India is roughly from 1500, we can say that 1500 BC to 600 BC. And so this much period is Vedic age, but there is a further classification in the Vedic age. And what is this further classification? I'll tell you the basis of it also, but let me write first then. So this further classification, Vedic age has been further divided into 2 periods, and it is called as early Vedic age, and then the next one is later Vedic age. So early Vedic age and later Vedic age. Now early Vedic age is from 1500 BC to 1000 BC roughly. Then so near about 500 years were early Vedic age, and then later Vedic age is from 1000 BC to 6000 BC. So 1000 BC to 6000 BC. Then so why this division has been made? Because there were the developments, there were the changes in the polity, whatever political system, economic system, socio-religious system existed in this period. There were advancement, there were changes in this period. Then, and one of the advancement also, a mark or you can say that flag post between these 2 periods is the knowledge of the iron. Then so knowledge of the iron was mainly there in the later Vedic age, and it completely changed the discourse of the Indian history. So that's how Vedic age itself has been divided into 2 phases. So in the classes, whenever we are reading this section, so what we'll be reading about, the polity, their economy, their society and their religious practices in both the phases, and also the geographical information in both the phases. Then another part, so later Vedic age came to an end by the 6th century BC, end of the 6th century BC, or basically by 600. Now so I have written 6000, isko 600 likhna, theek hai, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so now after this period, the next development in the history of India is basically I'll take another page. I hope already you have written. Then coming to the next phase is, I am writing this as a title, 6th century BC. 6th century BC. So there were many developments in the 6th century BC, and these developments are, so very first is that rise of religious reform movement. Rise of religious reform movement. And what are these religious reform movements? So basically these religious reform movements were in the form of the Jainism and Buddhism. So Jainism and Buddhism. So when I mention the part 6th century BC, what do I mean by 6th century BC, or what is the real meaning of it? That the age from 501 to 599 BC. That's the concept of the century. So till the end of the 600, okay? Sorry. So till that 500. So this is the 6th century BC, and this is the development in the 6th century BC, that rise of the religious reform movement in the form of the Jainism and Buddhism. Out of the 2, Jainism is the oldest, so that's how Jainism I have written first, and then after the Buddhism. So as far as this section of the Jainism and Buddhism is concerned, we'll be studying about it in the art and culture section. Then so in history part, I'll give you a little bit of a reference, but once we are meeting for the art and culture, so then obviously we are going to elaborate it in a much elaborate manner, and a manner in which that you must be able to solve all the questions of the UPSC exam. So fine. So now after this religious 6th century BC में there were other developments, and the one most important development in the 6th century BC is that rise of 16 Mahajanpadas. Rise of 16 Mahajanpadas. So what is this Mahajanpad? And Mahajanpad, as the name itself suggests, Maha stands for the great, Jan is for the people, and Pad is basically, though the meaning of the Pad is the footsteps, but then overall meaning of this Mahajanpad is the bigger states, then the bigger state where large number of people are there. But understand, Mahajanpad is not just about that large number of the gathering of the people, but also it is about the system of the administration. So basically it is a very big territory with the infusion of a particular system of the administration. So as far as the Mahajanpads, abhi isko kingdom nahi consider karna, don't consider it as a kingdom, not all of them are kingdom. So for example, that right now when we talk about India, so what is the system of the governance in India? I hope all of you know, okay? That is democratic system of the governance. Then so this is also that India is a big territory and it is governed in a democratic manner. Then similarly there are the monarchies when we look at the Middle Eastern part of the world. So Middle Eastern part of the world like UAE, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, Kuwait, these all. So in these countries the system of governance, is it democracy? No, the system of governance is the monarchy. So that is another system of governance. Then apart from it, there used to be another system of governance which is called as oligarchy. So there are three systems of the governance, that एक तो democratic या republic system of governance we can say, and oligarchy and monarchy. So in the Mahajanpad age, there were three types of the system of governance. Then kuch mein, in some of them there were republics. Republics means some sort of democratic functionalism is there, and then some were oligarchies. Oligarchy ka matlab that it means that it was ruled by the group of people, not a single person but group of people. And then comes monarchy. So monarchy is what? It is ruled by a king. So all the three systems existed in these 16 big territorial states. And as far as some of the important Mahajanpadas are concerned in this particular section, so it will include Mahajanpad of Magad, Kosal, Kasi, Avanti. So I'm just writing 3-4 of it just for the reference, but once we are in the class, we'll be writing about all the 16 Mahajanpads and which all parts of India they were there functional, and apart from it, their capital and other details related to it. So rise of these 16 Mahajanpad is also happening. They are consolidating their powers in 6th century BC. But out of all the 16 Mahajanpads, the one which became the most powerful was the Magad Mahajanpad. So if we have to locate Magad Mahajanpad on the map of India, so Magad Mahajanpad will be basically starting point would be the Rajgir of Bihar, and then we call it Rajgriha also. So Rajgir or Rajgriha of Bihar, Nalanda is the very much part of the Rajgir area. So it will include, it will start from that area. It will also include the parts of the Patna, today's Patna. It will go till the Gaya. So it started from this area, but the big thing associated with the Magad Mahajanpad that it became too powerful that it annexed or it captured all the 16 Mahajanpads. So by the beginning of the 5th century BC, Magad Mahajanpad was the biggest monarchy in India, and over the period it has captured all the other Mahajanpadas. Then, so from here onwards, the history of India becomes the history of the Magad for the time being. Then, so let's write the next part in this continuation of the timeline. Since I'm not able to drag it like this, then so I'm just taking the new page, and so next title is History of Magad. History of Magad. Fine. The history of Magad. So starting with in this period. So obviously we are going to talk about the dynasties which have ruled in Magad, and there were a number of the dynasties in this period. So these dynasties, to start with Haryanka dynasty, then we'll talk about the after Haryanka, Sashunag dynasty, then Nanda dynasty, and then comes the Maurya. So let's write about the very first one. So though there are references of Magad in Mahabharata also, and so that is another part, but here since we are writing it from the perspective of the academic things, so we will stick to the academic books, but in the classes also we will correlate, we will talk about the Mahabharata part also. So in Mahabharata part, whereby the Brihadrath, who was the ruler of the Magad, and you must have seen, if you have seen Mahabharata, so you must have seen. So now coming to the next part is basically very first. So many dynasties ruled in the Magad, and the first and the foremost established dynasty of the Magad was Haryanka dynasty. So Haryanka dynasty, this is just wait 1 minute. What has happened to it? Fine. And wait 1 minute. I'll write it again. So Haryanka dynasty. Meanwhile, if you have any question, so you can put it. So Haryanka dynasty was established in 554 then, and it continued till 412 BC. So Haryanka dynasty got established in 554 by the person whose name is Bimbisar. So Bimbisar was the initial ruler of this dynasty, and then another important ruler was his son. In fact, he was the most important ruler, Ajatashatru. Then, so Ajatashatru. So we'll talk about them. I'm not writing their periods right now. Then, only writing the dynasty periods. Then, but if you want to know precisely, I'll be writing in the classes, and you will also be writing in the classes. Then, so Bimbisar was the founder. It was in 554, and his rule continued till 492. And then after Ajatashatru has come to power, who was son of the Bimbisar. So he proved to be the most powerful ruler of this dynasty, and obviously during his period, expansion is happening and Magad is becoming more powerful. But this dynasty was ousted, or it was exiled, it was completely removed by one of the minister of this dynasty, whose name was Shishunag. And Shishunag, after defeating and killing the last ruler of the Haryanka dynasty, he established his own dynasty, which is called as the Sashunag dynasty. So next dynasty which ruled in Magad was Sashunag dynasty. And Sashunag dynasty, so its timeline is from 412 to 344 BC. So 412 to 44 BC. So this period. Now in this period, the most important ruler was Sashunag, and then he was followed by the next ruler, Kalashok. So it is by the 344 BC that Kalashok was defeated and killed by another person. In this period, his name was Mahapadmanand. So Mahapadmanand defeated and killed the last ruler of Sashunag, Kalashok, and he founded Nanda dynasty. So I'm writing Nanda dynasty over here. So you also write Nanda dynasty. So Nanda dynasty ruled from 344 to 321 BC. Right? So the most important ruler in the beginning was Mahapadmanand, who established this dynasty in Magad by killing the last ruler of the Sassanid dynasty. And then the last ruler of the Nanda dynasty was Dhananand. So Dhananand, it is believed that he was the most powerful ruler of Asia at that time. And during the tenure of the Dhananand, one of the biggest fighter from the world, and he is known for his adventures in the eastern part of the world, starting from the Macedonia. Macedonia is the today's lower part of the Europe, which is surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. So Alexander, I'm talking about Alexander. So Alexander at this point of time has started his campaign of India, and though he had victories in northwestern parts of India, but he did not fought with the Dhananand because he feared that Dhananand's army was very strong and Alexander's army was already fighting, so he wanted to buy some time to do the preparation to fight with Dhananand. So that's how he returned back and decided that maybe some other time he'll be coming back to India to fight with Dhananand and defeat Magad. But this time never came because while returning back, Alexander was killed. So now you yourself can sense that Dhananand was a powerful ruler. Then he was powerful ruler, but understand, though Dhananand was a very powerful ruler and Alexander wanted to buy some time to fight with him, but Dhananand was defeated and killed by a very unknown dynasty by that time, and that dynasty was the Maurya dynasty. So Dhananand got killed by the Chandragupta Maurya, and this was all possible because Chandragupta Maurya was assisted by his able minister and guide whose name is Chanakya. So Chanakya is basically a title. We will talk about it in the classes then. So basically a title, but the original name of the Chanakya at the time of the Chandragupta Maurya was Vishnugupta, and he was also called as Kautilya. So due to the political mechanization which was developed by Chanakya, Dhananand was defeated and killed, and this led to the establishment of the biggest dynasty of ancient India, which left an indelible impact on the history of India. So the next dynasty obviously is the Maurya Empire. So mention title Maurya dynasty. So Maurya dynasty, its timeline is from 321 BC till 185 BC. So 521 to 321 to, so ruler's name, okay dear, so I'll be writing the ruler's name from here onwards, don't worry about it. Then so okay, okay, so fine. See, actually the system in which I was working earlier, not over here. So the board was different. So I think it will just take me 1 or 2 days to be acquainted with this board. So it will be quite easier for me also, but I'm also just a bit getting acquainted. So Maurya dynasty, as I mentioned to you, that in 321 Chandragupta Maurya defeated and killed Dhananand. Then, and after this, he has established this kingdom. Moreover, Chandragupta Maurya also defeated one of the governor of the Alexander. So when Alexander was returning back from India, he has posted, or he has posted one of his governor in the northwestern part of India, that is Punjab part. His name was Seleucus Nicator. So Chandragupta Maurya also defeated Seleucus Nicator with the help of the Vishnugupta, Chanakya or Kautilya, and then after he's created a very big empire. So since you guys are asking the name of the ruler, so I'm writing the name of the ruler also. So Chandragupta Maurya was the first ruler, and his timeline I will write, okay, don't worry about it. So 321 to 299 was the timeline for Chandragupta Maurya. Then, so this much. Then after Chandragupta Maurya, when his death has happened in 299, his death is also Mahapadma. Yes, Kareem has asked that did Mahapadmanand killed Mahanandin or Kalashok? Yes, you're right, dear, that he killed Kalashok. Then, so we'll be having elaborate discussion, and then also यहाँ पे तो एक story भी है. There is a story of illegitimate son, and also story related to the extramarital affair of the Kalashok, which has led to the killing. So we'll see it in the classes, since today's class is just about entire overview of the ancient and medieval history. So let's move ahead with it. So Chandragupta Maurya, then after his death, his son Bindusar became the ruler, and Bindusar's timeline is from 299 to 273 BC, and then comes the most important ruler of this dynasty, that is Ashoka. So after death of Bindusar, what happened? That there was a war of succession between the sons of the Bindusar. What is war of succession? Meaning all the sons are fighting for it. Then, so Ashoka finally he became victorious in 269, and he came to power in 269. So his timeline is from 269 to 232 BC. Ashoka is said to be the greatest ruler of India, and he is regarded as the first Chakravarti Samrat of India. And Chakravarti means that the person who ruled in all the direction, everywhere. And in fact, what we see, okay, we say as an Indian subcontinent. So Indian subcontinent will include obviously Pakistan and Bangladesh, then, and including some parts of Afghanistan. So if I include these all areas, so he was ruling in 90% area of the Indian subcontinent. But understand, on one hand, Ashoka is ruling in the 90% area of the Indian subcontinent. In South India, there were some dynasties which were not under the rule of the Ashoka, which were not under the rule of the Mauryas. So side by side, when Ashoka's period is there, we need to see that what is happening in South India also. And so this is what I said to you, ki simplification of the timeline must also happen. If the timeline is, you are not going to understand in a simplified manner, so history difficult lagti hai, theek hai? But if you understand the timeline, history will be easier. So in some parts of South India, Mauryas were not functional then. And what was functional in those areas? So there were three dynasties in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Okay? And these three dynasties are called as Sangam Age dynasties, and their age is called as Sangam Age period. So they are early Chola, then Cheras and Pandyas. So just after completing this timeline, I'll write about the Sangam Age period. So let's move ahead with this particular course. So Ashoka's, what are the important things associated with the Ashoka? So first of all, it is said, it is believed that he killed more than hundreds of his brothers to come to the power. And initially he was a very aggressive person. He was very aggressive. He believed in the military annexation, and he has gone on rampage to acquire some of the territories. And one of the rampage, or one of the very violent activity of the Ashoka, was the war of Kalinga. So war of Kalinga, which happened in 261 BC, and war of Kalinga is basically in the Odisha area. So he defeated the Kalinga army in 261, but this defeat also led to killing of lakhs of people. I'm not exaggerating, then. Not at all exaggerating. More than 1 lakh people died in this particular battle. And this particular discourse, or that incident, led to rethinking on Ashoka's heart and mind. There was a change of heart. He felt that he has done a guilt, that he felt that he has done a sin. He was in the guilt, he was in remorse, and then he decided that he will completely abandon his policy of the military annexation. So he completely abandoned his policy of military annexation, and now he has converted to Buddhism. And after the conversion, his life is more about the socio-cultural annexation and spread of the doctrines of the Buddha, teachings of the Buddha. So this became his life goal. So one half of the part of the Ashoka's life was aggressive, and second half was pacifist, that he was trying to pacify people through the doctrines of the Buddha. And the great phase of the Ashoka's life is basically the phase in which he is promoting the Buddhism. So there are many contributions of Ashoka that we will be dealing in the class. So Ashoka's death happened in 232 BC. Then after, the successors of Ashoka were not that powerful. They were not mighty like Ashoka, and slowly the Magad kingdom started to slip from their hand. Then, so it started to slip from their hand, meaning that they are weak, some other people are gaining power, and the last ruler of this dynasty, whose name was Brihadrath. So once again, this name is getting repeated. So give me 1 minute. I'll write Brihadrath. Brihadrath got defeated and killed by his own minister in 185 BC, and the name of the minister was Pushyamitra Sunga. So this is the end of the Magad in Mauryas in 185, and new dynasty which will be ruling in Magad would be the that Shunga dynasty. But before going into the Sunga period, okay, or basically who followed Mauryas in the Magad, I would just go into the South India. Ki Ashoka ek taraf, Mauryas ek taraf, what is happening in South India? So I'm just writing a subtitle over here, okay, नीचे की तरफ, okay. So South India, okay. South India, and then second you'll be writing Sangam age. So Sangam age is believed to be, अब इसका timeline is also important. It is believed to be 300 BC to 300 AD. So now, as you can see that there is a transition change in the timeline. Okay, so 300 BC to 300 AD. Give me just 1 minute. I'll have water. Fine. So in between these 600 years, as you can note down that ki 300 BC se 300 AD ke beech mein, there would be 600 years. So in these 600 years total, okay, there were 3 dynasties which were ruling in the South India. So they are called as, number 1 dynasty will be the early Chola. The early Chola. Number 2, the Cheras. And number 3, the Pandyas. Another thing that don't be worried about it, because history study is incomplete without the map, and moreover we'll be doing the map work also in the classes. Okay, don't worry about it. And the map work does not mean that I'll put a digital map kahin se laake wo kar diya and then after I'm doing it. I will create the map in the class itself. Okay, you will, I'll also encourage you to create the map from your own hand in your copy and then fill it, because in the exam scenario, in your mains examination, you don't get that already printed map where you need to do the that mapping of the things. Then, so you have to develop this attribute in yourself, that in a very quick way, within few seconds only, you are able to draw the entire map. Then, so we'll be doing this exercise also, that in which all parts of India, these all dynasties were basically, okay. So now, as you can see that I have drawn this map, and isme, if I have to denote little bit, okay, just giving you a little bit of idea. So Cheras were basically, this is the Chera part, which is Kerala area, and then after when it comes to Pandyas, so Pandyas, this yellow part, okay, Tamil Nadu. So P I have written, and when it comes to the early Chola, so the early Chola part would be color, fine. So let's take this one. So early Chola part, so this much area is the Chola. So this way a big map will be creating in the classes, just for your understanding. So we'll see their history, that what has happened and why we call it Sangam age. Uski bhi ek kahani hai, there is a story of it, because a particular type of the literature was compiled in this period, and that literature is called as the Sangam literature. So that is about the Sangam age period. Now moving into after the South India part, which is going side by side of the Mauryas, we are going back to the Magad, okay? And going back to the Magad, so what was the last thing which I told to you is that the last ruler of the Maurya dynasty, Brihadrath, was killed by his own minister Pushyamitra Sunga. So The period which is after 185, it is called as post-Maurya age. Then, so write a title, okay? And title would be the post-Maurya age. So post-Maurya age, and post-Maurya age is basically that the period between, okay, 185 BC and going till precisely I would write 350 AD. So this period in the upper part of India would be called as a post-Maurya age. So we'll understand the reasons that why we don't call it with the name of a particular dynasty, but we are calling with the Mauryas only. The reason is that Mauryas were one central dynasty, big central dynasty of India, which ruled almost 90% parts of the Indian subcontinent. But after the end of the Mauryas' rule, there are n number of the indigenous rulers who have emerged, and apart from it, there are the foreign invasions also. So in the post-Maurya age, there are two types of dynasties. Then, so I'll do the classification over here itself. Then, I hope if I decrease the font size of it, so then I think it will be fine. Okay. That's it. Okay. So post-Maurya age, you write two things. Okay. Divide or classify, do the declassification over here. And on one side, you will be writing indigenous dynasty. Indigenous dynasties. And on the other side, you'll be writing foreign dynasties. Foreign dynasties. And so foreigners. Indigenous ka matlab that they are the natives of India, emerged completely Indian in nature, and on the other hand would be the foreign dynasties. So as far as the indigenous dynasties are concerned, it will include the dynasties like, let me write first, Sunga dynasty. I'll write the timeline also, just give me 1 minute, I'll just complete this part. Sungas were followed by Kanwas, Kanwa dynasty, and Kandavas were followed by Satvahana. So as far as the Sunga dynasty's timeline is concerned, Sungas ruled from 185 BC till 73 BC. Then Kandavas ruled from 73 BC till 30 BC. And Satvahanas. So Satvahanas were the dynasties from the Deccan part of India, and moreover their existence is already there from the 1st century BC, and their rule continued till the 3rd century AD. So near about 400 years they have ruled. So here it is written as 1st century BC, and they are ruling till approximately 4th century AD. Fine. So these were the dynasties from Indian side, meaning Indian nature dynasties which are ruling after the end of the Mauryas. What about the foreign dynasties then? So there are many foreign dynasties who have arrived in India, and one by one, so let's write that what all foreign dynasties were there then. So the very first dynasty which came to India was, let me change the color, was Indo-Greeks. Indo-Greeks. Indo-Greeks were followed by Chakas. They are also called as Scythians. then Shakas were followed by Parthians, and then comes Kushanas. And so as far as the Indo-Greeks are concerned, their rough timeline, ठीक है? देखो history में in ancient history part, this is what I'm trying to maintain right from the beginning, that you have to remember the approximate timeline, ठीक है? Not exact timeline, and the sequence also. So you have to remember the things in the sequence the way I'm writing. So Indo-Greeks, their arrival is in India is about 190 BC. Closer to it, they have arrived in India. Then Sakas, they have arrived in India around 95 BC. And Parthians, their arrival is in the change of the date. Then, so they arrived in India by 25 AD. And 25 AD. And as far as the Kushanas are concerned, so Kushanas arrived in India by 65 AD. And moreover, out of all this, it is the Kushanas who have ruled till near about 390 AD tak. Okay? So their rule is there till the 390 AD. So now these are the post-Maurya age dynasties done, and this is their timeline. So once you are done, okay, I'll move on to the next part. Since already the time is coming, so what we'll do in today's class, that we'll keep the ancient timeline, and medieval timeline will not take much of time, so we'll do it tomorrow, medieval timeline, and then after the sources, reference material, though I have brought today, but I don't think that today we will get time to discuss this, so tomorrow's class will be discussing it. Right? Meanwhile, if you have any other question related to the classes, so you can put in the comment box. Now moving ahead, so after the post Maurya age, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so as you can see कि 4th century AD दोनों में end हो रहा है, that in both the parts, indigenous dynasties also and foreign dynasties also. Right? Now let's move to the next part. After the 4th century AD, another very big development in the history of India is the emergence of another very powerful dynasty. The dynasty is Gupta Empire or Gupta dynasty. So let's write the title Gupta Empire. Gupta Empire. And Gupta, their rule was established in 319 AD and it continued till 550 AD. So Gupta Empire, that 319 to 550 AD. So after the Mauryas, it is said that Guptas were the second most powerful people in India, in ancient India, and then moreover, there was a huge impact of the Guptas on Indian culture. So we'll see those all developments, that what is that huge impact. In fact, one of the biggest development during the Gupta period is the construction of the temples. So for the first time in the history of India, temples were constructed during the Gupta age. Coming to what we are going to study. So just like that, in each and every period, whatever timeline we have written, we will talk about their polity, economy, their society, and also religious practices. So in Gupta also these all headings would be there, that their polity, economy, society and religious practices. But as far as the rulers are concerned, so I'm just writing the most important or 5 important rulers of the Guptas. So the founder of the Gupta dynasty, though Chandragupta is not the founder, okay? Actually, this dynasty emerged in the Prayagraj area around 250 AD, and the initial founder was Sri Gupta. But then he was not a very powerful ruler, we can say. The power equation or big power equation starts from the Chandragupta first. So now another thing you have to note down, that Chandragupta Maurya is different from the Chandragupta first. Chandragupta, when the Maurya comes, so that is the Maurya dynasty, and here Chandragupta first, then there is a second also. So very first what I'm writing is Chandragupta first. So his timeline also I'm writing, so that since it is a very important section in the exam, so his rule was from 319 to 335 AD. Then after his death, the most powerful ruler of this dynasty was his son Samudragupta, and Samudragupta is called as second Chakravarti Samrat of India. So Samudragupta's timeline is from 335 to 375 AD. Then comes, after Samudragupta's part, next one was Chandragupta II, and Chandragupta II is regarded as, he is also called as Vikramaditya. So Chandragupta II is also called as Vikramaditya, and moreover Chandragupta II is regarded as the most enlightened rulers of the Gupta. So his timeline is from 385. So there is a 10-year gap. That story I'll tell you in the class, not over here. So 385 to 415 was his rule. Then AD only. Then comes, after the Chandragupta II, the next ruler was Kumaragupta. And Kumaragupta became ruler in 415. He continued till 451 AD. And then after, the last important ruler of the Guptas was Skandagupta. So keep on writing the timeline, okay? Then Skandagupta 451 to 468 AD. So these were the 5 most powerful rulers of the Gupta dynasty. So we'll see that what all developments during their period, and in fact Chinese Buddhist traveler Huensang arrived in India at the time of the Chandragupta II, and at the time of the so he arrived, sorry, Fahian arrived at this point of time, at the time of the Chandragupta II, not the Huensang. Huensang arrived at the time of the Harshvardhan. Then apart from it, there are different developments. Samudragupta's campaign of South India, then also Kumaragupta's construction of the Nalanda University, and Skandagupta's fight with the Hunas. So these all developments we'll see, and after talking about these all people, we'll go into their polity, economy, society and religion. And as I said to you, that one of the biggest religious development of this time was the construction of the temples in this period. So we'll see that part, and temple architecture specifically you're going to read in the art and culture section. So after the Gupta Empire, that by 468 AD, that 68 AD Skandagupta is dead, and his weak successors were not able to hold the Gupta dynasty together, and by 550 this dynasty was completely defeated and completely removed from power from the North India. So post Gupta development we'll see then. So moving to the next one, post Gupta age. Post Gupta age. So post Gupta age is basically after 550. So after 550, there are the different developments in the history of India, okay? And these different developments is basically that emergence of the dynasties in the upper part of India and emergence of the dynasties in the lower part of India. Then so Deccan part and also the southern part already we have mentioned. So we'll see one by one. So we are looking at, right now we are looking at the new dynasties which has come up in the North India, Central India. So Guptas completely, okay, they got defeated, okay, by 550. They were completely ousted, and the new dynasty which is emerging by the end of the Guptas is Pushyabhuti dynasty. Pushyabhuti dynasty. So this is a dynasty whose emergence happened in Thanishwar of Haryana. Okay? So Thanishwar of Haryana, and the most important ruler of Pushyabhuti dynasty was Harshvardhan. So Harshvardhan, his timeline starts from 601 to 648 AD. Then so 48 AD, and this dynasty came to power in 600 only. And then the most important ruler was the Harshvardhan. So it is at the time of the Harshvardhan, Chinese Buddhist traveler Huensang has arrived in India. So we'll have a discussion that what were the developments at that time and what that Huensang has written about India. So on one hand, in post-Gupta age, in the upper part of India, that Harshvardhan's dynasty is there. But on the other hand, in Deccan, okay? So यहाँ पे what I'm doing just for your notice, okay? North, okay? And I'll keep the denotation that North and Deccan. Now in Deccan part of India, two dynasties are emerging in the post-Gupta age, and these two dynasties are Pallava dynasty, and second one is Chalukya dynasty. So Pallava dynasty and Chalukya dynasty. Now, when it comes to Pallava dynasty, so Pallavas were basically the Andhra-based dynasty, also ruling in the parts of Tamil Nadu, and Pallavas, their timeline, though they are as a people of the power, they are from the 3rd century AD itself, but becoming a ruler, that happened in the 6th century AD. So they are also gaining power in 600 AD, and their rule will continue till 870 AD. Then, so Pallavas are there between 600 AD to 870. Then what about the Chalukyas? So Chalukyas came to power little earlier. Okay? This dynasty came to power somewhere around 550 AD, and in fact, Chalukyas are going to survive till 11th century AD. So their survival is bit more as compared to Pallavas. So this is the post-Gupta age. Then these are the big dynasties. Just 1 minute. There is a one spelling mistake in this one. Okay? So just correct it. You on your part. Just give me 1 minute. It is Pushya Bhuti. YA I forgot. Fine. So it is Pushya Bhuti. Now understand. So these are the major dynasties. But understand, there were many other small dynasties which emerged in this period in between 600 to 800, and these are the dynasties. So I'm writing this post-Gupta age is our major title, and in that part itself, so other dynasties of post-Gupta age. So other dynasties of post-Gupta age are Maitrakas, then Maukharis. So ये सब पे भी डिस्कशन होगा, ठीक है, इन द क्लासेस. एंड राजपूत्स. So Rajputs में who are emerging? Parmars, Gurjara, Pratihara, etc. So these all dynasties, we'll also be referring to them that these dynasties have also emerged, okay, during the post-Gupta age. Then now understand. So post-Gupta age 800 तक, ठीक है, मान के चले. Then उसके बाद there is another development in the Deccan part. In fact, from this part itself, I'll be elaborating. So Harshvardhan died in 648, and after the death of Harshvardhan, there was a vacuum in North India, and this vacuum was about to be filled by some newly emerging dynasties, not just in the North India, but also in the Deccan part of India. So let's look at the developments. Okay? So give me 1 minute. So what title you will be writing? You will be writing post-Harshvardhan period. Post-Harshvardhan period. And this period, which I'm writing as post Harshvardhan period, it is also called as early medieval period. So this age is also called as early medieval age. And now in this age, what all dynasties are emerging? So I'm just giving you 30 seconds, just complete this part. I'll have water. Yes, Abhishek. The gap of 10 years is not just because of the wars, but actually there was a ruler whose name was Ramagupta, and his story is there. So we'll tell you that who was Ramagupta over there in the classes then. So now, after this part, let's write the 3 dynasties. So the dynasties of this post Harshvardhan age, the most important ones are, so number 1, Gurjara Pratiharas. Gurjara Pratihara. They have come to power by 750 AD. Originally they were earlier, okay, that they were already there from 700, but they are emerging as a major power by 750 AD, right? And in fact, all the 3 dynasties are coming approximately by the age of the 750 AD. So after the Gurjara Pratihara, Pal dynasty. Pal dynasty. So Gurjara Pratihara were there in the northwestern India. Part also you can write that in which part of India. So they are in northwestern India, and Pal dynasty is in eastern India. Eastern India, and this dynasty got established in 751 AD. And then comes the 3rd dynasty, which is Rashtrakuta dynasty. Rashtrakuta dynasty. Rashtrakuta dynasty, and they have come to power by 757 AD. But what is the timeline of this one, Rashtrakuta dynasty? So timeline, sorry, not timeline, area. So it will include that it is ruling in the parts of the central India, southwestern India, and so as Karnataka. So Rashtrakutas are ruling in this area, this much area. So these are, and Pal dynasty, as I have written, eastern India. So eastern India is basically parts of Bihar, Bengal, these areas. Then Gurjara Pratihara, so northwestern India, it will include the areas of the Sindh, so as the entire South Rajasthan, northwestern Rajasthan, okay? So that part will be coming into this. So these were the dynasties. Now these dynasties, as far as these dynasties are concerned, they are also ruling till, all of them are ruling till the end of the 10th century AD, and this is the case in the parts. But the question is that who is ruling in South India, pure South, that is Kerala, Tamil Nadu, parts of Andhra, and lower part of the Karnataka. So you remember that we mentioned 3 dynasties in the Sangam age: the early Cholas, the Cheras, and the Pandyas. So Cheras and Pandyas, their rule continued even beyond 300 AD. But it is the early Cholas who were replaced by the Pallavas. So Pallavas we have mentioned in the Harshvardhan age. So they were replaced by the Pallavas. But now by 870, if I go back to that timeline, just for your understanding, so just give me 1 minute. So what we have written, Pallavas, okay? So they have replaced the early Cholas. They have replaced early Cholas, and they are once again getting replaced by the same Chola dynasty. But this Chola dynasty, which is coming to the power in 870, now it will be known as the Imperial Chola, okay, or it is called as mainline Chola. So mainline Chola or Imperial Chola, for our academic discussion, is the last dynasty of ancient India or early medieval. Uske baad ka period, after that, the period would be the medieval, pure medieval India. So the last dynasty of ancient I am writing over here then, and give me 1 minute. So fine. So South India as a title, and comes to the power mainline Chola dynasty. Mainline Chola dynasty. It is also called as Imperial Chola. So they are coming to power in 870 AD and they will be there till 1200 AD. So they are also ruling for a very greater period of time, and they are ruling in the major parts of South India then. So entire Kerala, Tamil Nadu, so as the parts of Andhra, and so as the parts of Karnataka. So this is the end of the ancient and early medieval history of India timeline. Then now, so okay, okay. So what you are writing, the hand emoji in the for zooming. That's not working, dear. I have already tried hand emoji. Okay, fine, fine. I got it. Very thank you. So I'm trying to read your name. I'm very particular about it that I must not pronounce your names in a wrong way, because every name has a vibration. And I do believe that if anybody takes your name with a wrong pronunciation, you must object to it then, because the name that has been given to you, it has a vibration, and that vibration creates a positive frequency, that it gives a positive frequency, and that builds up something constructive for you. So if I'm wrong, please, I'm sorry for that. So your name is Thangam Mani Gandhan. And anyways, so fine. So this is what? So this is the final part of it. Now see that we cannot complete. So now we cannot complete the medieval timeline in whatever time which is left. So I would have a little bit of discussion with you guys related to the reference material and the books which I have brought today. Okay. Obviously every day I may not be carrying, so since I have brought today, let's have a discussion on it. So I just want questions from your side related to the reference material. If you have any question, please post it in the comment box so that I can address it related to the reference material. Rest of the questions related to the topics and everything that we are going to deal tomorrow onwards also. So see, as far as the reference material for the ancient history is concerned, since we have completed the ancient today, so see that there is a debate in today's time that new NCRTs have been introduced, and these new NCRTs, are they good enough? Take care. What has been the change, and what has been the change, and then will it be relevant? So let's understand one thing. UPSC civil services exam is conducted by UPSC, and in UPSC exam, understand that the reference material. For example, if there is a question, UPSC will have to choose the answer of it. So it will not choose it from the guidebook. It will not choose it from the state textbook material, but the reference for the UPSC is the NCRTs. So NCRTs are your eyes and ears in this exam, be it any section, geography, polity, then history. So you must start your preparation with the NCRTs. And if you're not doing the NCRTs, so many times what has been seen is that your preparation becomes little shaky. And so you don't need to fumble on the basics. So start with the NCRTs. Now, so the three new NCRTs which have been introduced. So I'm just coming up with this. Just give me 1 minute. So I have brought these three new NCRTs, and let's start with the class 6 one first. Take it. 1 minute. So this is the very first one. Take it. And as you can see, so exploring society, India and beyond. Now I'm just talking about the new NCRT. It is the class 6 NCRT. Now understand what they have changed, that there is no specific book where entirely history is mentioned. So in this section they have that they have written. There are portions of the polity, there are the portions of the geography, and there are the portions of the history. So in this part, just give me 1 minute then, so that I can tell you that what all sections are there. So I'm just going to this part of the content then. So in the content part, though I hope it is visible, but if it is not visible, so you can download these books from the NCERT website. So there is a theme A and theme B. So actually theme A is basically geography, and theme B and theme C is related to the history and culture. So theme B is tapestry of India. It has 3 chapters, timeline and sources of history. So as you can see that they are also starting with a timeline. Timeline is very important there to make history a comfortable subject, right? So timeline and sources of history. India, that is Bharat, the beginning of the Indian civilization, and then the theme C is our cultural heritage and knowledge tradition, India's cultural roots, unity in diversity, or many in the one. So it starts from the page number 59 and goes till 125 then. So 59 to 125, that is 40 and 25, that is 65 pages are there. But these pages, 65 pages, mark my words, that you start studying it, so you will hardly, it will take 4 hours. Then in 4 hours itself you can complete it then. So not more than 4 hours, because big font is there and many images are there, so it is not difficult. So information wide, I would say that there is a lesser information, but then important information is there, so you can go through it in the very first one. Then the second NCERT, that is class 7th. Then why new NCERTs are important? कि जब भी change होता है, whenever the change is there, so UPSC has a tendency to ask questions from the new NCERTs, so you cannot neglect it. So though the book seems to be bigger and seems to be lengthier than, but actually it is very less, whatever that is mentioned, very less. So 3 kitabein, class 6, 7th, 8th, if you're doing it, so hardly it will take 2 days, then you can complete it in 2 days. So just this exercise you do, then I'll tell you one more NCERT that you must be studying then. So in this part, class 7th part, let me come to the content part. So in the content part, this is class 7th. So once again, theme B and theme C. Okay. So theme B and theme C is your history and culture part. Theme B is tapestry of India and our cultural heritage and knowledge tradition. So it starts from the page number 67 and goes till the 167. Then so इसमें 100 pages है. So this will take 7 to 8 hours for you to study. Okay, and not more than that. Font is big once again, and many such images are there. Images are also important. You must see it. So you can go through it also. Then comes the last book, that is class 8th NCERT. So class 8 part has lesser number of the pages, and 7th has more number of the pages. Give me 1 minute. So it has only tapestry of India, no the heritage part. So starting from the page number 20 and going beyond page number 83. So this part is basically modern history. So 6th or 7th is the ancient and medieval history. So for the time being, you just refer 6th and 7th for ancient and medieval history. Modern, whenever it is starting, so you can refer to these pages of the modern. Then, so these are the things. Now, so as I mentioned to you that you must go through it, that what is mentioned in these pages, and even if you're not creating the notes, be assured that I'm incorporating these all in the classes then. So class notes would be good enough then. And just to break information to you that this year prelims paper, none of the questions of the ancient and medieval history were outside my notes then. So each and every question in the past 15 years, whatever I have taught in my classes, everything was there from the class notes, including your modern Indian history. And in fact, many people said that your class notes were savior in the exam scenario. So class notes, be assured, class notes are going to be good enough, but then we have to do the exercise also. Now another thing, that old NCERTs. So old NCERT, only one old NCERT I will refer to you, and that is class 11th old NCERT, that is R.S. Sharma. Then so R.S. Sharma, and let me write it first. So give me 1 minute. ancient India, class 11, old NCERT, Then, so ancient India, class 11th, old NCERT, and the writer of this NCERT is R.S. Sharma. Fine. So now understand. See, class 6th and 7th, new NCERT, and the old NCERT, class 11th. This much only, nothing else you need to buy. You don't need to purchase any guidebook from the market. And also the mind maps which are provided by PW, that is also very helpful. And you can look at the hard copies which have been provided by PW. So that is also very helpful. And these NCERTs. Then now I just try to create a distinction between the new and the old NCERT. So new NCERT mein the problem is that information is very less. Information is very less because it's a thematic presentation, and the way we have written the timeline, you may not find that timeline in the new NCERTs. Then, so in that timeline, in that way, the entire history is not there. So you will have a haphazard understanding of the subject. So that's why very first thing, very important, and the first thing is to go through the class notes, and then after you read that NCERTs, new NCERTs. But the good thing about the old NCERT is that it is mentioned, it is in the timeline manner itself, and it has more information. So R.S. Sharma NCERT is equally important, and you always keep a mixture of the old and new NCERTs. Then, so this will also you have to read, but this will take a little bit of time because it has more than 250 pages, and give a little bit of spaced, I would say that in a one go, just read 2 chapters, then after once again 2 chapters. So in a 10 or 11 days you'll be able to complete the ancient India of class 11th NCERT R.S. Sharma. You can do one more thing, that meanwhile in the classes, once suppose that if we are reading about the Indus Valley civilization, so once you have read Indus Valley civilization in the class, what you can do, that you can simultaneously read it from the R.S. Sharma also, or you can read it from the class 6 NCERT also. So this exercise also you can do, or the next other thing is that after the classes are completed, so then also you can do. But then I would emphasize that you must go with the NCERTs then. So you keep these NCERTs in focus. Then apart from it, if you have any other question related to the this reference material, you can ask. Since we have a little bit of time, so you can ask. Anybody who is going to ask me any question related to Tamil Nadu textbook, if you have Tamil Nadu textbook question, let me know. I'll tell you that you need to read or not. So I think there is a little bit of lag in the classes because what I am delivering here, it is coming little late on this one. So chalo. So these, I hope you have understood that these all are the sources. Then now the next thing, that tomorrow's class, what we are going to do is basically we'll complete the timeline of the medieval India. And in the timeline of the medieval India, majorly Delhi Sultanate is there and the Mughal period is there. So Delhi Sultanate mein there were the dynasties like the first dynasty, slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, then Tughlaq, Lodi, Sayyids and Lodis, and then after we come to the Mughal period. But then there was an interregnum in the Mughal period, that is the Sirsa Suri's period. So Sur Empire was also there. So these timelines will be writing. But understand, meanwhile, when we are focusing on all these big dynasties of India, there are many such small regional dynasties also. And in the recent past, UPSC has asked questions on the regional dynasties in a very frequent manner. So what about those dynasties? So be little relieved, assured that in the classes we'll be doing the regional dynasties also. The dynasties which I might not have written in the timeline, but it will be there then. So for example, that we have mentioned Maitrakas and then Maukharis. Guptas ke time pe bhi there was a one regional dynasty, that is Vakataka. So we'll talk about the Vakatakas also. Then in between 10th century AD to 12th century AD, there were also many other regional dynasties in different parts of India. And so, for example, Hoysalas, then Hoysalas and Yadavas, then Kakatiyas. So these all dynasties will also be talking about. Apart from it, during the Delhi Sultanate period, there were two dynasties which emerged in South India, regional dynasty, Vijayanagar kingdom and Bahmani kingdom, out of which Vijayanagar is the most important from the UPSC exam perspective. And we'll be elaborately dealing with the Vijayanagar dynasty period, that is 1336 to 1640. And Bahmani also we will talk about. Then similarly, during the tenure of the Mughals. So there are the other powerful areas, okay, or dynasties. Some Rajput rulers were there, like Maharana Pratap of Mewar. So we'll have a discussion on him also. And so as the Sikh Empire, which was established, and so as the Maratha Kingdom by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Then, so we'll be having discussion on all these topics, all these regional dynasties. So as I can see that you guys have asked that Kumar Sai has asked that his brother has suggested Tamil Nadu textbook. So dear, Tamil Nadu textbook, I actually find it very good. But the problem is that there is always a bone of contention between the NCERT and the Tamil Nadu textbook information. So when you are giving the Tamil Nadu state PCS, it's very good, you go ahead with it, but then for UPSC I would proscribe, meaning I would not recommend Tamil Nadu textbook, because there would be the difference of opinion, there would be some changes in the information, and if you go by the Tamil Nadu textbook, so those information may seem little killing to you. So for UPSC don't refer it, but for your state PCS you can refer it. Then in the book we have Sangam and Gupta period. I think we did not have before Gupta like Asoka thing. Okay? So yes, Sangam period I'll be dealing. Don't worry about it. And Sangam period not only over here, that in the history part, but also in the art and culture part, I'll be dealing with the Sangam period. Okay? So I think that now is the time that we can take leave for today, and tomorrow's class we are going to start. Okay? So I think only 30 minutes it will take for the timeline of the medieval India, and then after we'll start with the sources to study the Indian history, which is also not a big part. And tomorrow itself we are going to start with the Paleolithic age of India or Stone Age of India. So our classes would be just in the just like the sequence in which we have written the timeline. So I hope today's class you have got some insights and you got acquainted with the timeline of the history. Tomorrow we will further build up. Okay? Fine. So very thank you to all of you. Meet you tomorrow at the same time, 8 AM. Till then, bye and take care.